You were a first-round pick in 1976 with the Dolphins from San Jose State. You go all the way across the country to Miami. What was your first impression of Coach Shula when you met him?
Well, so that's an interesting story. So, I first. Well, let me give you my draft story. So I'm sitting there back in '76. There was no internet. There was no ESPN. It was just you sitting in a room waiting for the phone to ring. And 17 rounds. You didn't know if it was the first round or the 15th round or what time was going on. So I get a call. I'm sitting there with my brother and his wife at the time, and sitting in their apartment. And I get a phone call. I go in the room and pick it up, and I pick it up, and they go, "Is this Kim Bokamper?" I say, "Yes." I said, "Well, this is Paul Brown from the Cincinnati Bengals. We just drafted you in the first round." And he said, "How do you feel about that?" I said, "Mr. Brown, I'm ecstatic." And then he says, "Can you cuss on this show?"
Yeah, absolutely.
So then he goes, "Fuck you." It was one of my buddies pulling a prank, right?
Great.
So needless to say, I ran him down up the flagpole a couple of times. Then I went back, and then so then about 20 minutes later, I get a call, and this is Coach Shula's secretary. I asked her twice because I wanted to hear if maybe he was putting a girl on there to try to, and then I saw. So then sort of, as soon as I heard Dodn Shula's voice, I knew it was the real thing. And I would hear.
Well, let me ask you this, though, Kim, because was there any team that you were like, I hope this team doesn't take me? Now, obviously,
the Packers.
It was the Packers.
I'm a California guy. I grew up in Northern California, and Packers weren't any good at that time. They were a really bad football team. And I got a call the night before the draft, and they said, "Hey, we've got the 25th pick, I think, in the draft. If you're there, we're going to take you." And I go, "Oh my God, don't let me be there when they get there, or if I'm there, hope they change their mind because I didn't want to go to Green Bay." But so anyway, so to move forward, we used to play. They used to play the College All-Star game. Yep. The College All-Star game was a collection of college All-Stars. You had to have signed your contract with the league, with your team, to go, and you had to go if they picked you. It was a deal between the Chicago Tribune and the NFL that if they picked you and you'd signed your contract, you couldn't refuse. You had to go. So we're there for 3 weeks, and I really hadn't met Shula. I met Shula face to face in mini camp, but briefly. And so I'm gone. So I missed the first 2 weeks of training camp. And so game's over. We are getting a plane at 5 o'clock in the morning, get there about 7:30. They're out in the practice field already. I run in the locker room and I get my gear on. I run out there, and Bill Arnsparger tells me, "Hey, go in and see what you can do." And I didn't even know what position I was going to play because I was going to be drafted in a couple different positions. So I go out there and so I go run through my run. You do like 8 reps or something, then you come back. And so I get down on the knee, take my helmet. I was like 90 degrees, 90% humidity. And all of a sudden he looks over me. He goes, "Hey, Bokamper, what the fuck are you doing?" I said, "I don't know, Coach. What the fuck am I doing?" He said, "Get off of your knee and put your helmet on. No one sits on my practice field, on the knee on the practice field, and no one takes their helmet off my practice field." So that was my first really face-to-face, really, really Coach Shula introduction. And I never got on the knee again for the rest of my career, and I never took my helmet off again for the rest of my career.